This is a segment of the up-and-coming The Whole Chessboard video. I hope you enjoy. The entire world has been placed through a massive trauma during this pandemic. The media was telling people they or someone they loved was going to die. Some loved ones did die. When the mind goes through trauma, it becomes susceptible to instruction. There is a term for this called trauma-based mind control. Please don't be so proud into believing you are immune to this programming. And if you are scoffing at it, the likelihood that you have it is extraordinarily high. There are different levels of this mind control depending on the level of trauma one goes through. It doesn't have to be on the extreme scale. You just need to be in a place of fear over a long duration. For a low level of trauma-based mind control to work, simply tell people of an imminent fear suggested in a news story about people buying too much toilet paper and watch the panic and irrational minds go to work. It's a pretty good test. Trauma-based mind control can also be very extreme. We know about it through the released documents on MKUltra, which is not a conspiracy theory. It has been fully documented, and ignoring it does not mean it didn't or doesn't exist. Trauma-based mind control programming can be defined as systemic torture that blocks the victim's capacity for conscious processing through pain, terror, drugs, illusion, sensory deprivation, sensory overstimulation, oxygen deprivation, cold, heat, spinning, brain stimulation, and often near death, and then employs suggestion and/or classical and apparent conditioning to implant thoughts, directives, and perceptions in the unconscious mind, often in newly formed, trauma-induced, disassociated identities that force the victim to do, feel, think, or perceive things for the purpose of the programmer.
I must kill the queen.
The objective is for the victim to follow directives with no conscious awareness, including execution of acts in clear violation of the victim's moral principles, spiritual convictions, and volition. Installation of mind control programming relies on the victim's capacity to disassociate, which permits the creation of new walled-off personalities to hold and hide programming. Trauma-based mind control has varied stages and levels. You don't need an alternative personality to cause panic and to follow instruction. You just need a mind in a suggestive state, and they will act on authority. Understanding the power of trauma-based mind control will help you to understand why someone could perform such heinous activities to another. In Project MKUltra, the trauma was so destructive that a person's mind gets split into two. Mind control programming has been installed below the level of consciousness of the mind of the victim. The programming deliberately creates dissociative identity disorder, also known as multiple personality disorder, and installs memory blocks in the victim's mind, and the victim has no memory, no awareness of being programmed and used, unless the victim has been deprogrammed. Mind control is total slavery. Those entities who program the mind-controlled victims are modern-day slave masters, who view and treat the victims as their total possessions. A mind-controlled programmed victim is used as a piece of property that has been totally stripped away all human rights and dignity. In the eyes of these entities, the victim's only reason to exist is to be owned, controlled, and used for the benefits of the slave masters. Mind-controlled programming has been widely spread across the world. The following are typical candidates of mind-control programming slaves. And again, this is documented. Politicians, government leaders and key personnel, military leaders and key personnel, financial industrial leaders and key personnel, influential academic or research personnel. The goal is for the ancient bloodlines to control the world's politics, military, economy, and researchers. In the eyes of these controlling bloodlines, if you are of any importance to their agenda to control the world, they simply cannot afford to not control you. Children are easily programmed and can be used for child sex trafficking, drug trafficking, intelligence gathering. They can also be programmed to be sleeper slaves that can be invoked later during special circumstance by the programmers. Victims with special traits can be used for military or genetic research purpose. These victims include, but are not limited to, victims from particular races that can be used by the military's intelligence gathering purpose, victims who possess special genetic traits, special DNA type, a bloodline, heritage that can be used for genetic experiments, or victims that can generate huge profits to entities, victims with attractive appearances, advanced intelligence, special psychic abilities. Entertainment industry performers are used to influence the media, generate profit, and simply for the benefit of slave masters. No matter which side of the Republican, conservative, Democrat, liberal Hegelian dialectic program you sit on, admitting to yourself that you could be in a suggestive state, regardless of how smart you are, is the first step to freeing yourself. The second is removing yourself from the cause.